What do you see, Jane?
Great. I see the first slide, the flexibility of choosing a major.
Okay, but you don't see my cheat sheet, do you?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Let's wait a few minutes for the attendees to join in.
You don't see my other sheet though, do you?
I do now, just now.
Now you do. Okay.
It's
now
gone.
You don't though, do you? Okay.
It's back.
Welcome to the Flexibility of Studying in the USA live session. We will begin in just a moment. If you have any questions during our session for our speakers, please write them in the live chat and we will answer as many as possible at the end. Okay, John and Jane, you can begin.
Okay, yeah, I'm John Pomeroy from the University of Albany. I'm the Director for International Admissions and Recruitment.
And good evening or good morning. And my name is Jane Benson Rivera. I'm the Assistant Director of International Admissions and Recruitment. We are both from the University at Albany, which is part of the State University of New York system. We're the largest system of public higher education in the United States. There's 64 different colleges and universities that make up State University of New York. We are one of the 4 university centers within SUNY, which means we are a Research One university, one of only 131 Research One universities throughout the United States. We have approximately 13,000 undergraduate students and 4,500 graduate students pursuing master's and PhDs. Our international students are approximately 1,800 strong, coming from nearly 100 different countries throughout the world. And certainly as a large, diverse public research university, our international students are a very much valued part of that diversity. We offer over 50 different undergraduate programs and more than 150 graduate options. We'll talk tonight a little bit about the different programs available in the United States higher education system, but certainly choice is available at Albany. One of our major focuses is research, and many of our undergraduate and graduate students will participate in research with our faculty. We're also very heavy in internship opportunities because of our location in New York's capital city. Our students are able to do internships in a wide variety of fields. We're very much into experiential learning as well, so students are able to get hands-on experience throughout the 4 years of study with us. And with that, I think we'll get started talking a little bit about flexibility and choice and why that is very much a central aspect of higher education in the United States.
So most people on here should be probably highly focused on studying in the US, but if you are kind of torn a little bit between studying in the US or in perhaps Europe or other options, we would like to kind of talk about, like Jane said, I mean, just the positives to the US is the flexibility of the system. We have over 4,000 institutes of higher education in the United States. So like right away there, you have choice, okay? And you can look at community colleges, universities. Jane mentioned that we're one of 131 Research One universities, so kind of the top rated universities in the country based on research dollars, federal dollars that go towards the university. So, you have your choice of a big group there, but it gives you a good reason to be able to focus right in on a certain type of school. And most of the students that are looking at us should be looking at universities. What makes us, again, another point of flexibility, we have that extra year of education in the US, in Europe and other places that's often 3-year degrees, where we have 4 years. So our first year is mostly spent covering general education courses. They cover science, language, humanities, social science, math, writing intensive courses. And these expose you to a lot of different areas. And again, you guys may be thinking that you're interested in mathematics, but end up taking an economics class as part of the general education classes. And then this new area of interest, a lot of folks will end up changing their mind. And that's not a bad thing. when people change their mind. I mean, again, it's the flexibility. It's a tradition though in a lot of your countries that maybe you're living in, where in high school you're already kind of focused and tracked. And in the US, that may be the case too, that people have looked pretty closely. But sometimes you get to school and either you find out this other great major, or you realize that you don't like your major. The old joke that I always tell is the person that wanted to go to medical school till they found out there was so much science involved in it. But it's a reality. Some people say, wow, this is a lot tougher than I thought. And they look at other majors. So Jane, throw it over to you.
Yeah, so I think typically at Albany, what we would say is you certainly can come in with an idea in mind of what you'll pursue. Some students will come in with 2 or 3 different options, and there's time and opportunity to explore all those options. So students will come in saying, maybe I want to be a doctor, maybe I want to go to law school, I want something in the professional track. And you have the opportunity to really narrow down your options and really fine tune the path for you. In most programs in the US, as long as you know by the end of your second year, you have plenty of time to complete your degree within the 4 years. And then you'll have to take the required courses within your major. We're very fluid here in the US. We have this concept of a major, which is typically between a third and a half of the courses you'll take in the university. And the rest of the courses tend to be electives or just general interest courses, or things that you might want to take to round out your academic career. So maybe you want to add a language to have some diversity, other things to add to your resume, or to make you more marketable in the job market. Maybe you want to have a double major so that you can have 2 fields that you're really proficient in. The US does allow you a great deal of opportunity to really fine tune your academic experience based on your strengths as well as your interests.
It's kind of interesting, and Jane talked, Jane talked a little bit about, just trying to take a look here, sorry guys. Jane talked a little bit about the concept of double majors, but also in the US, you hear concentrations, okay? So, you know, in the area of business, you can have a concentration or a specialty in maybe US history, European history, you know, just lots of different choices. Business, we concentration, right, Jane, for business? Yeah. Marketing, finance, management, entrepreneurial studies, financial analyst, and I think, am I missing one, Jane, for Albany?
I believe so.
But the concentrations versus a major, okay? So remember, the major is kind of your larger area of study. And then within the major is how we have concentrations. And sometimes the number of credits, that's what may vary the number of credits and the degrees you guys are looking. You do 120 credits over a 4-year degree at most US schools, but your major might be 36 credits, 42 credits, 60 credits, and that may change based on concentrations. Some people might be business major, but then have 2 concentrations, maybe one in marketing and one in management, both might stretch out the time to complete their degree. Also in the US, we have interdisciplinary majors, which are pretty unique, and they're really kind of student designed. So maybe you are a student from South America, but also have an interest in business and maybe some focus in business and in economics in Latin America. So you might propose a major that would take Latin American studies and put it together with these economic business classes and then ask to have it approved. And that's fairly common. It tends to be kind of a blending of maybe existing majors into an area like that. But that's, you know, again, flexibility of the US system. It's a great thing. A little bit on minor from Jane Benson Rivera.
Sure. So, and the one thing I wanted to also mention is that sometimes students will take advantage of doing, students who are very focused might be able to do their undergraduate and graduate degree in 5 years. And that's fairly common as well. So we call that a bachelor's master's option. And it's something that Albany certainly provides, but other schools will have that option as well. So a minor is sometimes required, sometimes not. Typically, it's about 20 credits of your 120 that's required for your degree. So 1 out of every 6 classes perhaps would be in your minor area of study. It gives you a chance to explore other interests. Sometimes it's related. So maybe you would have maybe a bachelor's degree with a minor in chemistry, very closely related. Sometimes you might have a business student who loves performing. So you might have a business major with a theater minor. So you can kind of have something that you are purely in for enjoyment. And then the major would be something that you really want to focus in for your career. Many students at Albany will have a double minor. We always joke that there's students floating around who have sometimes 3 minors. It is possible to have a major and then 3 minors and still graduate within the 4 years. So there's a lot of students who have many diverse interests that we're able to attract. And again, it depends on the major that you're pursuing, whether or not a minor is required or not. We always tell students, we certainly know a lot about our academic offerings, but every student at Albany, and I'm sure other schools as well, has an academic advisor. And those are the people who make sure that you're doing everything necessary to complete your degree. But they're also there to kind of bounce ideas off of and to really make sure that you're able to pursue things that are of interest to you and meet the requirements to graduate within the 4 years.
I think James was talking a bit about some of this. So academic advisors there to help you. Tends in the US that you have an academic advisor until you declare your major. And then once you declare your major, your business professor, your chemistry professor often becomes your advisor. There are some different models, and we actually have some kind of dedicated first academic advisors, and then we have an international advisor who backs up, making sure that you're getting all the support that you need. So some different models that are out there. But you also might talk to career development staff. We have a staff at the university that is there to help people plan their best options to get jobs when they graduate. They might have some suggestions for internships and things like that. They know what's worked best for students to get their jobs, and for international students, you want to know that your school can provide you with that sort of support and help you. And then we also have some peer advisors who are students, a year or 2 ahead of you, but may have had similar experiences, and we'll share those with you. There's also the inside trick that a peer advisor knows the good professors and the bad professors, the people that might put you to sleep in class. So there's maybe a little trick to getting some of that. A little bit on grad school, James. I don't know if anyone here for grad, but.
Yeah, so many of our students obviously will go on and pursue a graduate program. Again, in the US, it oftentimes is related to your bachelor's degree, but maybe not. So a good example is many students will decide after they complete the first degree that they want to go into accounting and they don't have an accounting background. You're able to do that at the graduate level, do a 2-year master's program. It's very common that people will go into a different area, or they might just want to round out their undergraduate degree with a little bit of advanced studies. So oftentimes students who have an undergraduate degree in communications, for example, will do a master's, or an undergraduate degree in chemistry will do a master's to round out that education and make them marketable for higher level positions. For the most part, the third bullet there, most of our programs in the US, they might require some prerequisite courses, so some foundational courses, but typically you don't need to have an undergraduate degree in order to go on to the graduate programs. Pre-med, certainly pre-med, there is a core list of classes that are required to go into medical school, but you don't have to be a science major to go on to the medical school. It's just that list of 8 or 9 courses that you're required to have completed. And you can major in anything, go on to med school. Same thing with law school. There's no requirement for a specific major or program. Typically students are told, take a lot of classes that require you to do critical thinking and analysis, a lot of courses that require you to do public speaking and to do some writing, because those are really the things that are required of students in law school.
And that is just a quick introduction for you on the flexibility of studying in the US. Of course, we're trying to highlight the example of the University of Albany for you. Want to point out ApplyWave, applywave.com. BU Albany key partner for a lot of years. I think we've been working with them for close to 10 years. So please work with a partner. They can help you with your application. They know all the parts that we're looking for specific and can help you get a quick, hopeful acceptance. And with that, if we have any questions.
Yes, thank you so much, John and Jane. That was very insightful and very helpful information. We do have a couple questions for you today. Our first question is, if I do a double major, do they have to be related, or can I do something like psychology and music?
That's absolutely possible. Yeah, they don't have to be related at all. Particularly at Albany, those two programs would fit together seamlessly. You'd be able to complete within 4 years, no problem. Yeah, absolutely. They don't have to be related. Did you want to add something, John?
That's a great answer, Jane.
Thank you.
Awesome. And what happens if I change my mind? When do I have to know my major?
It'd be possible in a lot of majors to change your mind up until the end of second year and still graduate on time. Engineering would be a very tough one because the courses are built in sequentially semester by semester. So you could change your mind in a program like engineering, but it might end up adding another year to your program to finish. But for those programs that are somewhere around 36 to 42 credits, which is really only about a third of your program, it's probably pretty easy for you. You might have to take an extra course over the summer, maybe in some cases, but up till the end of your second year. At Albany, technically, you're unofficial till the end of your first year in just about all majors. So you can pretty much change your mind at the end of first year and finish anything, no problem. Then it kind of starts sliding out a bit.
Awesome, thank you. So we also have a potential student that would like to know more about the campus. What are some extracurricular activities you do at the campus? Know more about the dorms, and is it surrounded by nature?
Okay, yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jane and I will bounce back and forth, and both Jane and I did graduate degrees at the university. Jane also did her bachelor's, although it was a little while ago. But she's had the full experience, and both of us were here as students. It's just about around a 220-acre campus. Old university, founded in 1844, but this campus, and you're seeing a picture of it behind Jane there, was built in the late 60s. It's kind of a modern architecture design. Used to be a golf course, so you can imagine a former golf course and building a campus in the middle of it. It's pretty green with huge grass spaces, and kind of about half of it is kind of treed in. So you're asking about nature. There's a pond. Jane and I, not so much this year, but used to walk around the campus, and there's a loop road that runs around the kind of the perimeter, and that's a 5-kilometer walk. So you can imagine, again, a university in the middle of a 5-kilometer loop. We have almost, I think, 300 different student groups on campus. The student government has a budget of well over $2 million a year, and that gets divided up between the 300 different groups based on population. Division I athletics, there is club sports, which aren't as competitive as Division I. What else would you throw in there, Jane?
Well, I would just talk about a little bit about the campus. We are a residential campus, so students do live on campus at least the first 2 years. But unlike many schools in the U.S., we have unlimited housing available. So our students are able to live with us throughout their undergraduate and graduate degree if they wish to. We have traditional residence halls. We also have apartments on campus. We have dining halls with full complements of breakfast, lunch, dinner every day. We also have a campus center with a food court with 14 different restaurants available. So there's lots of choice for the food options. And the campus itself, our setting is suburban. So we're about probably 5 kilometers to downtown Albany, the Capitol buildings, the government complexes, internship opportunities. We have street festivals, restaurants. We have 2 shopping malls nearby. We're about 10 minutes from an airport and train station. So our campus is very centrally located. We say it's suburban. So we're on the outskirts of a city. The region that we're in, the Capital District, is a smaller city. It's about 1 million people. But you have everything close by that you would need or want as a student. But at the same time, it's not a major metropolitan area. It's not tremendously expensive. You're able to focus on your academics without being, too distracted by what's going on in the city. So I think it's a perfect balance of urban and suburban. It's a really beautiful location, a nice part of the country as well.
Awesome, thank you. And we have another question that says, are SATs required?
No, like most of the US, we are test optional at least through 2022. So with the last year and a half and things have gone on and testing being difficult to come by, we, like most of our colleagues, have chosen to go test optional. You can certainly submit SAT scores if you wish, and we'll take a look at those and we'll consider them as part of your application, but you're not required to submit them.
We will give scholarships up to $17,500 a year. Nearly $80,000 over. Well, not 70,000. Do my quick math in my head here. But 70,000 over a 4-year degree with no SATs, just good academic performance.
That sounds great. And we have a few minutes left in this session. Since you are our last live session, you can feel free to share more general information about the opportunities at your university.
Yeah, I mean, just, think a little bit more about our student population. Jane mentioned students from almost 100 different countries. I know I saw some, students from Uruguay, Honduras, I think, signed up too. Is that right? Was it Azerbaijan? Did we see? But just, I was looking at the list, and all students that we would enroll here at the university. I mean, it's a pretty diverse community. Even one of the great things when you study in New York also is there's a lot of people that might speak your language, but then, and you'll think, geez, I wonder where they're from in my home country. But in fact, they're from Brooklyn, or they're from the Bronx. Maybe you might recognize the Spanish as a little bit more New York street Spanish, okay, than Spanish you might hear in Madrid possibly. But the point is there's lots to kind of help you feel at home and make you feel at ease there. International students can work on campus. We hire some students in our own office. The cafeteria services, library. Jane, I'm trying to think of a few that they service too.
Athletics and
athletics. Yeah. Lots of options. So you can make a little bit of money. You can't depend on. I think you're maxed out at 20 hours a week, and it has to be on campus. You could certainly go there. One thing I just think about STEM. Jane, you want to talk about STEM?
Yeah, so certainly one of the things in the US is that when you graduate, you can work for a year. We call it OPT, or optional practical training. But if your degree is in a STEM field, so a science, technology, engineering, or math field, you're able to extend that to a 3-year work permit. So many of our students will take advantage of that. I like to tell people that we are in a part of the country where there's tremendous opportunities in high-tech fields. So if you're graduating with a degree, perhaps in cybersecurity or chemistry or biology or math, companies are nearby. Regeneron, which has done tremendous work with the drug treatments for COVID. They are always hiring highly skilled workers, which our recent graduates certainly are. Our computer science majors, there's a lot of game design companies in the area. They're hiring people. We have students who are into robotics, and there's several different robotics companies located in the Albany area. So students are able to leave us and gain really solid work experience for 3 years upon graduation. Our International Student Services Department, they do a wonderful job of advising you and walking you through that process. Our Career Center has someone on staff who focuses on employment opportunities for our international students. So it's very much a seamless process. You certainly have to do the work and have good internship experiences as an undergraduate. You have to have a strong grade point average. But if you do those things and you work hard, all the pieces are in place to allow you to stay and get really solid work experience for those 3 years.
And that's key.
Awesome.
You know, a lot of people think that the U.S. can't compete with other countries for the work permits, but like Jane said, 3 years. That's great opportunity. It's not promoted by as many schools as could be promoting it. And I don't want to mislead you, but after you finish the 3 years, I mean, certainly some people will have the opportunity for an H visa, which would ultimately allow for immigration, but we can't promise that. But I can promise you 3 years in any of the STEM. And I apologize to Jane if she mentioned it, but every student, no matter what major, has a 1-year work permit after they graduate. So we're competitive in the US, and we know that University of Albany, like Jane said, can give you lots of options.
That's awesome. So I'm going to fit in a question really, really quickly before we end the session. What is the total yearly cost in USD for students to study at University at Albany with cost of living?
Just under 45,000 is the bill that a student would get, and we're just a little bit off of 48,000 for the I-20 amount. So after you get accepted, you're going to apply for your visa. We'll give you what's called an I-20. ApplyWave.com is going to help you with all those steps. But you'd have to show a bank statement, and again, ApplyWave will explain that to you. But if you're a top student, you could look to attend the university for, I'm a little bit off in my math here because it's getting late in the day in Albany, but probably around 27,000, somewhere around there would be with the scholarship off of almost 45,000. So I think it's a good value for you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Jane and John. Very useful information. It was great. We had a lot of action in the live chat. So for everyone else, thank you so much for joining this session. If you'd like more information, feel free to chat with John Pomeroy and John Benson Rivera directly, or visit the University at Albany State University of New York booth. See you at our next session. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.